Namaskar. I'm Justice Kanta Sharma. I joined as a judge when I was about 24 as a magistrate. So my journey as a judge has been on more than 33 years. In my journey of being a judge, I have worked as a judicial magistrate for a few years, and after 10 years of my service, I became a sessions judge. I have dealt with domestic violence cases. I have dealt with sexual assault cases. I have dealt with many other jurisdictions. But as a woman, as a judge, what has really opened my eyes as to how compassion is needed while you are justicing and how it affects your mental being is something that I think we should be talking about. I was elevated as a Justice of Delhi High Court in the year 22. See, I think this is one of the most important topics that we should be talking about today, since we have often treated this as a theme of topics. But more than that, I think this is what every judicial officer felt as to how mental health and well-being of judicial officers is so important for a very healthy judicial system and doing justice to others. See, when we talk about balancing the scales and mental health and well-being of judicial officers, it's not a phrase. It's a quiet reminder to all of us that often we have maintained a stoic silence, which is expected of judges, that we should not be talking about our vulnerabilities that we too can feel, and we too can often, have mental health challenges. So therefore, recognizing the challenge is the most important thing when you realize that we, as members of judiciary, though we maintain a calm from outside, at times you may not feel that strength from inside, and you may be feeling the burnout, you may be feeling compassion fatigue, which can come while you are dealing with domestic violence cases and other cases, So the unshakable composure, which is expected of judges, historically, and people think that, judges are unaffected by sorrow, unaffected by suffering. But, once they are out of the courtrooms, this does affect actually what is happening inside them. Beneath every judge, people should realize, judges themselves should realize that they're not gods, they are judges and they're human beings. And you're bearing invisible weight of constant decision-making, being judged by others, being exposed to the pain of others the entire day. And at the end of the day, the solitude that you have to face because, your work demands confidentiality. So the challenge to understand the challenge, I think that is the biggest victory for all of us at IRWJ, that we did recognize that we can have mental health issues. I think in India, I can talk about India. So in India, when you take an oath, you take oath of confidentiality on your constitution. These days, it's not only the oath that you have taken and you are bound to, the online trolling of the judges, the remarks that are made about your personal lives, about the gendered remarks about women judges, and the bullying that takes place online. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. So it is the external pressures, I think, are more than the internal pressures that you face as judges. And that is what I think we need to understand, that the increasing social media commentary and the cyberbullying, I think they need to be addressed. And we as judges also have to get together and to deal with them effectively. I can recount two things. I can recount my own experience when I was dealing with some cases in the recent past, and when I was subjected to the most brutal trolling, gendered trolling, and some remarks which were made about me. But I think I was trained too hard to deal with them. However, at the end of the day, however strong you may be, when the trolling of a woman judge, it travels to your children, your family, your body, your personal life, I think it does affect you, howsoever strong you may be. There's another incident a case that I can recall. That is the case decided by me recently, and which I think has been published by IRWG on their website too, which was in 25 itself, in which an advocate had threatened and used sexually abusive language and outraged the modesty of a woman judge while she was holding court. So then I wrote in my judgment that, you see, it is not only humiliating a person, not a woman, because a judge has no gender. So when you are dispensing justice, I wrote that courtroom is meant to be a space where law should speak, not anger. You should not be hurling abuses. And when a woman judge is threatened or demeaned, you are going back in time. There was a time, when you encouraged women, come out of your homes, come, adorn the benches, please sit, dispense justice. So I wrote, it is injustice to justice. You are taking women back. First you said you are secure, you are safe, please come and you please sit on the benches. And then in the open courts, when you use sexually abusive language against a female judge, you are actually not only threatening one person, you are threatening the entire system, where you are telling others that even you, because you are a woman, you can be subjected to such vulgar language, and you can be subjected to gendered sexually intimidating language. And so if justice cannot guarantee immunity from gendered abuse, then what's the point of having women judges? So this is why I did not take lenient view in that, and I upheld the judgment of the magistrate court. I would say that I was lucky that in the year 2018, I had the opportunity to attend a few programs of CJEI, where they train the judges, and then SEALI, in collaboration with the Federal Judicial Center, US. So while we were being trained there, this was one of the topics where judges are also trained, in the sense they are also told as to how to be resilient, how to maintain their composure and their mental health while they are facing such threats, or they are facing such trolling or bullying. I had attended a conference in US in the year 2023, in which we spoke at length about how now cyberbullying of women judges was now extending to their families, which really stops them from dispensing justice the way they should. So the gendered violence. I'm shortly going to publish my book. My thesis is already published and presented, in which I have dedicated one full chapter to how we as judicial officers, and especially women judicial officers, how we should be dealing with these challenges. In one of those chapters, I have mentioned that the judges themselves have to come together, and they have to themselves make a policy as to how they are going to deal with it. So I said in one of the platforms that, you see, we don't have, in India, we don't have public relation officers for judges. Judges are not supposed to speak. So how do they defend themselves when people are making comments about them that they are not working, or other comments which they don't deserve? So therefore, right now, I don't think we have policies in place where, judges are specially, they are protected. But yes, we are trying. And as one person who has conducted research, which was my doctoral topic, I have dedicated my research on intensive interviews with a lot of people as to how they will deal with it and how they think that what policies should be made by judiciary across the globe, to deal with these things. I think what really helps is that you should have engaging dialogue with trusted peers and mentors. Everything said and done, at the end of the day, you find solace with people whom you trust. So when you are in business of dispensing justice, you have so many colleagues, but then out of those colleagues, there'll be few friends, there'll be few mentors in whom you converse, who you trust. That's the most important factor, who tell you as to how they have dealt with distress in the past. And the second, in my opinion, is the family and friends. I think at the end of the day, the solace that you find in your family and friends who are understanding and you stand by you, who don't judge you when the whole world is judging you and is being judgmental. I think that's where you find your own peace. Speaking for myself and few others, when you have so many stresses, what I started doing, I have taken admission in doing my graduation in music, Indian classical music. So when I'm very stressed, otherwise also I have to give my exams, I play veena, I play sitar. I am also learning Indian classical music. So we all have to find our own way of dealing with stresses. There are judicial officers who engage themselves in cooking. Some are doing gardening. Some are doing this. There's so many things. Some people take their spiritual journeys. So I think I am a blend of most of that. Every judge, according to their own family circumstances and how they want to deal with it. Because we as individuals, all of us are different. So something that works for you may not work for me. Something that works for me may not work for you. So I think most of us do find our own ways to deal with it. But what I found very effective was when you find your own hobby when you were a child, which you forget, as you are more engrossed in your careers and such careers, which are so demanding. And then you have gender expectations also that, you are caregivers also. Then you have your in-laws also. When you have, and it is expected that you are going to fulfill that too. And you are judged on that scale. You see, for a woman, it becomes very difficult and it's more demanding because you see, now you are, just look at this. You are judged in your office. You are judged at home. So you have to prove, your entire life, you're proving yourself that though you are a working woman, you're still a good mother, you're still a good wife, you're still a good daughter-in-law and whatnot, daughter also. In the office, you have to prove that you are a woman, but you are a good judge. So therefore, to hear, those kind of comments at times, they really hit you very hard. But you have to find your own way. And I think women are so strong. I very strongly feel, I am a daughter of a very strong woman. I was taught this, that we can do whatever we want. So therefore, whatever we want, the moment we think that, I'm very sure that, we'll find our own ways and we'll deal with it. I think for general public, it is so important to have a very healthy judicial system. When judges are dealing with cases, they are not files, they are lives. So therefore, if you don't have healthy minds who are minding your judiciary, I think you are playing with lives. So therefore, I think one pillar of judicial system, which is very important and often not recognized, is having judges who have healthy minds and balance of minds. You see, when we just look at our topic, what we are talking Today, we are talking about balancing the justice system. So, when you want to balance the scales of justice, before that, you have to balance your inner self. The judges have to have balance of their calmness. They have to have balance of their work and family life. They have to have balance of emotion. They have to have balance of compassion. They have to have balance. Otherwise, how are you going to balance the scales of justice? So, balancing the scales of justice is equal to balancing the scales of your own emotions and your mental health. Your robes can give you authority, but your calm gives you that wisdom and compassion. You can't. Your robes have given you that authority, but your well-being will give you that balance to do justice. There is a difference between writing a judgment and justicing. Justicing is far more important than being judgmental. So there is a difference in writing this. When you are dealing with people, if you yourself don't have your balanced mind, how will you balance the scales of justice? So I think this is very, very important for every judge to understand that. Very, very important to understand that. I think what I want to talk about is also this, that globally, we have really not come together as much as we should to exchange ideas as to how most of us are dealing with these challenges and these stresses. The second thing that I want to talk about is that still most of us find it, it's a stigma to understand or to even recognize that judges can have, these issues because of the burnout that they feel since they are dealing with pain of others. And at times you may not have time to deal with your own. So therefore, to recognize that challenge and to understand that our robes are commanding respect. But they don't shield you from emotion. You may be powerful because you have a robe. And, this symbolizes that you have authority. But it should not silence your fatigue. You should not silence your fatigue. You should have true strength. You should have strength to have detachment from feelings, which is a little difficult. And then you should have the wisdom and you should have the energy to, with humility and care, to tell yourself that you do need your mental balance and health is inseparable from a healthy judicial system. We must deliver justice to others, but we at the same time should have self-awareness, balance, and compassion, that we are able to balance and uphold not only the scales of justice for others, but for our own well-being also.